Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, today we will discuss about a variation known as multi-level feedback scheduling algorithm. In this multi-level feedback queue scheduling, we will discuss that how it is varied from a normal multi-level queue and how the priority element will help in scheduling overhead and the variance in the system. While we are using the multi-level queue scheduling algorithm, a process must enter in a permanent queue while entering the system. Now the process cannot change its queue from one another. For example, the foreground and background processes can be queued in one another and cannot move from one another as the foreground-background nature will not change. These advantages in low scheduling overhead, but it also has some inflexibility. Now in contrast, multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm allow the processes to change the moving of queue. It separates the processes depending on the characteristics of the CPU burst. Suppose when a process is taking a longer CPU burst, then for a long time it is put into the lower priority queue. Since making the IO bound and the interactive processes to be in the higher priority queue. And if the process is for a long time in the lower priority queue, then it again is moved to the higher priority queue to actual execution. This prevents aging by starvation. Now in this way, multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm can moving among the processes from one queue to another queue. Now we will see one example with the processes from queue number 0, 1, 2, there are 3 queues. First, the process will get into the queue 0. Then, if it is satisfied their execution in queue 0, then all the emptying of queue 0, it will move to queue 1. Then after executing from all the processes of queue 1, it will move to queue 2. Now, if Q1 is executing and any process from Q0 is arriving, then it will be preempted. And similarly, if Q2 is executing and any process from Q1 is arriving, then Q2 process will be preempted by the process of Q1. Now, let us see an example. This is the Q0. First process is put it into the queue. And this is a 8 millisecond time queue. The time quantum is very low at the shorter CPU burst time can be processed in this queue. Now if a process does not finish its execution in 8 millisecond time quantum, then it can be put to another queue known as the Q1. Now it is moved to the tail of the Q1. After emptying all the processes from Q0, it will then move to the Q1 head with a time quantum of 16 milliseconds. Now the processes from Q1 along with the remaining process from Q0 will finish its execution here. Now any process if remains in the Q1 and cannot finish its execution in 16 milliseconds, then it will be put into the last queue, where all the processes will be served in an FCFS order, but it will be run only after the running of all the processes from Q0 and Q1, which will be empty. Now in this way, the Q0, Q1 and Q2 will be empty for the process to get completed all its operation. The scheduling algorithm of multi-level feedback queue will be given the first and highest priority to the processes that are given a time quantum less than or equals to 8 milliseconds. That is a very short CPU burst that will get into the Q0, finish its execution and go off for the next IO burst. Now if it does not finish its execution, as we have told earlier, it will be moved to the Q1. Here the Q1 is given a 16 millisecond time quantum that is a little larger than 8 millisecond, but still it will be priority less than the higher one. Here, after finishing all the execution, it will be moved to Q2, where the actual lengthy processes will execute in order of an FCFS basis. So in this order, multi-level feedback queue can be done, and it again can be verified of the multi-level queue, but this flexibility producing and along with the low scheduling overhead too. In general, the multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm is defined by the following parameters. The first one is the number of processes in the queue. The second one is the seconding or scheduling algorithm needed for each queue. The third one is a mechanism for upgrading from the lower priority queue to a higher priority queue. The fourth one is a mechanism that is needed for demoting a higher priority queue and from the lower priority queue. And the fifth and last one is the mechanism to choose that process will enter which queue when it needs the services. The definition of the multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm is very common in general purpose CPU scheduling, as it can configure a federal and the special purpose computer system. Now it is becoming more complex as it has to set all the parameter values and carefully examine between the moving of queues and changing of the processes from one queue to another queue. And scheduling among the queues is also done because of this fixed preemptive scheduling. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ekeeda and subscribe to Ekeeda.